Hello, Australia. I am Mica Rosenow, and I am a PhD student at Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis in the United States. And I'm here with Dr. Niki Munk, and I'm so excited to be part of the Connect Show with Ann Davey.
To announce the 2024 conference location. So next year we are heading to New South Wales. We're actually going as far north as we can in New South Wales, and if we happen to walk across the street we will be in Queensland. So we're heading to Twin Towns Resort on the border of Tweed Heads and Coolangatta. See you there!
Hi, I'm Ann Davey, CEO of Massage and Myotherapy Australia, and I'm super excited to be here with Dr. Niki Munk and Mica Rosenow. So, hi guys, welcome.
Hey there, Ann. It's great to see you.
So,
Thanks
Niki,
for having us.
Oh, I'm so pleased that I could chat with you. So, Niki, do you want to give us a little bit of a background, because I can never remember your title and where you're from and where you are in the world too.
Absolutely. So we're both here in the States. We're at the Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, which is a huge mouthful of a campus. We're with the School of Health and Human Sciences and the Department of Health Sciences. I'm the chair of the department, and Mica has been a doctoral student and now a doctoral candidate in our lab. She's a massage clinician and is also working towards becoming a massage researcher. She has qualified and she is working on her dissertation proposal and dissertation here shortly coming up. So I'm excited to be back. I'm always happy to come and chat with you guys at Massage Myotherapy. So Mica, it's nice to have you with our friends down under.
Yeah, so I am or was a practicing massage therapist until this year, and I owned a massage business in the state of Missouri. I have enjoyed being a massage therapist and love most of the aspects of what massage therapy can do for all of us. But the article that we have written is something that we all are concerned with within the industry. So I'll let you go ahead and get started.
Yeah, well, firstly, thank you so much. For our viewers who have read our most recent journal, Mica and Niki so kindly allowed us to reprint your research on, the title, I have to read it because otherwise I'll get it wrong, Perpetuating Victimization with Efforts to Reduce Human Trafficking. So, and I really do have to say, the more that I delve into this, the bigger the topic gets. And, Australia, we think that it's just a problem here, but it is actually an international problem. Would you agree with that, Mica?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you want to just give us, for those that haven't had a chance to read the article or read our journal, do you want to just give us a bit of a summary of what it's about?
Sure. So the article is a critical commentary that discusses the US massage industry efforts to create educational and credentialing standards to legitimize the practice and differentiate it from sex work and sex trafficking. Sex work in the US is currently only allowed in 2 counties in the state of Nevada, although efforts by sex work advocates are working very hard to create changes in legislation and cultural acceptance. However, prostitution is still illegal, and trafficking as a massage business is one of the top 3 ways sex slaves are sold to customers. So we talk about the normalization and the minimization of harassment experienced by massage therapists, the requests and expectations to perform happy ending massages, and how creating a reporting process for these solicitations would document predatory behaviors across states and therapists by customers who have a high potential for soliciting trafficking victims. Finally, we end with a call to action that asks the professional organizations in the US to create a united stance against massage sexualization and work toward a way to protect both massage therapists and the trafficking victims that are affected by these consumer behaviors.
Which is a massive topic. And I suppose, the issue here is the word massage, isn't it? That, hundreds of years ago, a massage parlor was a brothel. But, my mantra when I speak to people is, our members and yourselves work in the health sector. So this whole idea of sexual harassment and human trafficking, it just doesn't, it doesn't sit with the health sector, but that's what's being used to human traffic these poor people. One of the statements in the article was sex trafficking is a public health crisis, and I just found that just so powerful because I see it as a massive problem, but I'd never thought of it as a health crisis, which is, a massive, massive comment. Do you want to talk to that at all?
Sure. I don't really find it super surprising because we know that the human trafficking organizations are criminal enterprises. This isn't located in some random remote location in a country that is really just proliferating from this tiny little effort. These are literally networked in cross-cultural, cross-country, global enterprises. And the efforts that we see within the massage therapy field to kind of combat these criminal enterprises are pieces of paper that then get sold to these criminal enterprises, whether through creating certificate mill schools and allowing the people to come to the country and then work off their debt or the education that they receive to become a massage therapist. Or, there are people who work at legitimate massage therapy schools who have been known to sell transcripts for people to be licensed in states. And then, when I first started my business, I actually talked to a couple of people in the area that gave me some really good direction about, we're supposed to be placing our licenses where our customers and the public can see them. But what people were doing were coming in and taking photos with their phone. And with the technology that we have now, you literally can create a completely new certificate just off of the image of that. And in a lot of situations, people aren't even altering the name or the dates or anything like that. It's literally just the same massage therapy license of a actual credentialed licensed massage therapist that was then used within a human trafficking enterprise business.
And this is public safety as well as the safety of our members or, legitimate massage therapists and these poor people that have been human trafficked. Did you look at all at how the public can recognise this? Because part of what we're seeing in Australia is that the public is confused. And, those that want sexual services know how to find it, or they just, they'll ring, me if I was a massage therapist and I'll say, no, I don't do that. So then they'll go to the next person and the next person. but for the public safety and the public recognition, it's very difficult. Would you agree with that?
I would, and I think efforts within the therapy field have really been about educating massage therapists and healthcare workers about what human trafficking victims look like when they show up in your environment, but also educating, especially massage therapists, at least in the US, what we would consider like red flag aspects to these businesses. So like having generic websites or having stock pictures, having the massage therapist, not necessarily dressed professionally on the website, giving the background, ages, those kinds of things. So we have, really seen efforts to kind of combat human trafficking in that aspect. But when it comes to like the protection of the actual massage therapists and what they can do in their environment to make differences so that they are not being harassed by people trying to receive these services, but then also giving them a way to be able to manage it and to report it and to deal with the mental and cognitive load that this places on individuals who are consistently berated with, being solicited for something that they may morally find reprehensible. And that's something that we haven't really focused on wholeheartedly yet, at least not in the US. And from what I have been learning over the last couple of years, it's not just here. It's definitely something that massage therapists need to have ways to protect themselves and be that kind of crux between the customer who is behaving inappropriately and the human trafficking victim, because we are right in the middle of that. There are ways to flag that behavior before those people ever actually get to somebody who's in a much less, or a person who's in a position.
It's vulnerable. Yeah, and they are, the person who has been human trafficked is very vulnerable and they don't know how to get out of it. So it's
there's not much a massage therapist can do to help a human trafficking victim get out of that cycle and environment, unless one presented in our clinic, which in the US, self-employed and independent contractors can work outside of healthcare sectors. So we're not likely to see human trafficking victims on our tables and in our practices where we could actually make that impact. So a way for us to protect them is also by protecting ourselves and ending that predatory behavior when it starts.
But I think one of those other key pieces that the paper talks about too is that some of the efforts, and Mica, you already mentioned this about, combating it with a piece of paper or combating it with a regulation, another regulation, or combating it with a sign that you put in your window that says, zero tolerance or something of that nature. But it's still not providing an absolute support when something happens to actually be able to put a stop to it. And so there's a perpetuation of victimization for the massage clinicians because they're continually being put in the position to have to fend it off themselves. And this notion that that's just part of the job that comes with the territory. It's to be expected. And
I've also heard people, I've actually had 3 separate people mention to me that when they talked about their experiences of sexual harassment, the person that they were reporting it to actually said to them that they didn't understand, and I'm paraphrasing, that they didn't understand why they were complaining about the behavior because they weren't sex slaves. So it was completely dismissive of their own experience and also placed guilt on top of them for not being in a position of more vulnerability. So there's a layer of guilt and even more emotions. And then as women, which is primarily what the workforce is made up of right now, we already have like all of these kind of ingrained and indoctrinated beliefs about I'm ugly, so I wouldn't ever be sexually harassed, or I dressed professionally because that's what they told me to do and it still happened to me. I never thought it would. Acceptance of sexual harassment myths are a definite reason as to why we end up with more victimization within massage therapists, because it's just extra layers of guilt on top of them having a traumatic experience. And in many cases, it is a very traumatic experience for most people.
Absolutely. And something that some people just don't get over, which is, it's life changing. Your research does discuss pushing back on professional organisations, which is what we've been talking about, and proactive behaviours, and this normalisation, which is what you've said, is adding to the issue, really, that, like you said, they were told, well, it's just part of your industry, you just have to put up with it. But we've surveyed our members, and I think, and I am, this is my memory, 54% of those that responded to our pulse survey have, been asked for sexual services on a weekly basis. It's ridiculous. It really is, because we work so hard to put, to put it out there that massage therapy is in the health sector. It's, there is a whole other industry, but that's where our members sit. So what do you see the future, Mica, as far as sexual harassment in the massage therapy industry? I mean, we've talked about educating the public, educating therapists on how to manage it and call it out. But do you ever, and this is crystal ball, I'm sure, do you ever see that it won't be an issue? And this is bigger picture, not just the human trafficking, the sexual harassment and the like.
I mean, the reality of the situation is that there's like layer upon layer of complexity with all of this, right? I mean, we have multiple systemic oppressive systems in place that, and I don't necessarily just mean gender or stereotypical types of systemic that we hear in the narrative on the media right now. I mean, there's more going on that we have to kind of combat. And I don't necessarily think that that's something that within one generation we're really gonna see a huge impact. However, I think it's just like most things over generations, and as time goes on, I really do think that we can see more respectful perspectives of massage therapy. And I don't necessarily think that legalization of sex work and protection of sex workers would be a bad thing. It would make things more complex, of course, but there are definite ways that could benefit both the human trafficking victims and massage therapists in these situations. I see changes happening. I'm optimistic that we'll get to a point where these experiences are acknowledged for how impactful they are for our colleagues, and I'm positive that we'll end up helping validate these experiences for people in the future. So I think we'll as long as we are not going to try and put our heads in the sand and act like it's not happening, and we continue the dialogue, and continue encouraging new massage therapists to understand that these are not normal behaviors, and that we are working on changing those behaviors to continue to see our workforce develop and grow, it's going to be interesting to watch. And I think everyone will be pleasantly surprised to watch how it develops now that we have people who are constantly squeaking the wheel.
I agree.
That's a really key point, Mica. I really do.
Yeah, it is. And I think that whilst this has been pushed under the rug for so long to try and separate the industries, now calling it out for what it is could possibly be more impactful, I hope. Yeah, rather than pretending.
Ignoring things never helps.
No, that's exactly right, Niki. So, yeah. I want to ask you a question without notice. You've said you were a practicing massage therapist until recently. What led you to this? Did you see it happen? Led you to the research on human trafficking?
Yeah, so I have been a massage therapist for over a decade. And so I, of course, have my own experiences from both male and female clients, but also from friends who have misconceptions and think that jokes are funny, and even family in certain circumstances not understanding what my work was, whether it's because they were older, like a generation older, or, a lot of my family are male veterans. So depending on where they were in the world when they were stationed, they have these types of beliefs about what my work was. So on top of that, my business partner is a male therapist who was also reporting all of these situations, and how impactful it was for him as a gay man to be receiving sexual solicitation from females, and how that was super uncomfortable for him. So just in talking to other therapists and being able to actually sit and listen to them and validate them and say, like, I experienced that too. I just think it's really important for everybody to know how impactful this is for some people, for most people. So
yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah. And look, the more I speak to people in Australia, all over the world, the UK, you guys, you know, there are a number of people around the world doing similar research, whether it's in the massage sector or just in the human trafficking sector or sexual assault or sexual harassment, which is interesting because, in 20 years ago, this research wouldn't have been occurring, I would suspect. I don't know. I haven't looked for it, but I would not to the level that it is at the moment. And to be talked about so frankly, I think is just fantastic. So thank you for that. That's, yeah. And for your research. And again, I can't thank you enough for letting us to print your publication in your article in your research in our journal, because I think it does highlight that, no massage therapist is alone in this. It does happen, and you can be as professional and present as professional as you like, which you suggested earlier, Mica. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. If they're predatory, which is, another powerful term, they're still going to ask. And so together we can work on it. Hopefully, I think, I'd like to think that, we can continue to work on this together across the world, because it is a worldwide issue. So what's next for you, Mica, now that, have you finished your dissertation, or you're still?
I'll send my dissertation proposal at the beginning of August. And then I begin the data collection and writing up process for my dissertation. And I will finish that when that is finished. So hopefully around May. And then from that point on, I will, my research interest in massage therapy is actually in the relationship between the therapist and the client. So there is a lot of overlap with this specific topic as well, but more so about how massage therapists relate to their patients or clients in ways that other healthcare providers do not.
Oh well, when that's, when you've got something written up about that, I'd love to chat to you about that, because I think that is so important. It's massage therapy is just a whole world that people, don't understand. And, researchers such as, the two of you is opening that up for the world to read, which is fantastic. And, papers like that, my hope is that our members will educate their clients, who will educate their friends, and, that's our reach. So, Niki, do you have any final words? No?
No, just thanks again so much for having us and for allowing Mica another platform to be able to discuss her work and interest in future pieces. I think this is a young professional in her early start of her research career that's going to make a really big impact on our field.
Fantastic. And thank you, Mica. I really appreciate it. And I hope we can get to chat again on your other topic.
Right.
All right. Thanks, guys.